Good afternoon, everybody. This is Bob Hahn, the president of Lumecon, and I am joined today by Michael Woznicki, a project manager in photometric expertise from Lumecon. Welcome, Michael.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for taking the time to join in today.
So today we're going to cover the Detroit Series Forward Throw and Forward Throw Mini. We're very excited about this product, and we're excited to share with you guys today the ins and outs of the product line. Just like all of our other products, we manufacture everything here in Southeast Michigan. We are just north of the city of Detroit. We are located in Farmington Hills, Michigan, which is 23107 Commerce Drive. We actually have 3 buildings here in the industrial park, but the building you're looking at right now is where we do all of our assembly and we have our inside sales. So we try to keep all of our personnel together. The other buildings we use for training and inventory. In previous webinars, we've noted to you the fact that we actually have always made our LED boards since 2006 right here in the Detroit metropolitan area. We're blessed to have several Detroit suppliers to automotive in the area that are able to also manufacture PCB boards and then able to place LEDs on them for us. So we'll be able to work together with those suppliers to create our LED light engines all locally here in the Detroit metropolitan area. And it's because of this dream of ours to create an LED lighting product lineup that actually represents the city of Detroit. And so about 2.5 years ago, we set out to design this line, to make it unique, to make it our own, and have it really represent us and the way we feel about made in the USA and specifically made in the Detroit metropolitan area. Michael, why don't you go ahead and start us off on the legacy? Michael?
Thanks, Bob. As Bob just had mentioned, we have all of our LED boards manufactured right here in the Motor City. And not only do we have proximity to that entire legacy of the automotive center of the world is really ingrained throughout the fabric of what we have Lumecon as a company and our staff, the majority of which have grown up in the Metro Detroit region. Without a doubt, that is certainly, if you have to pinpoint one aspect of Detroit, the legacy would be the origin and the continuing drive of the legacy of a motor city. With the next slide, actually, you'll see that one of the iconography within the city of Detroit is the Joe Louis fist. And that is absolutely a testament to the strength and the drive of the automotive sector that has moved throughout the entire Metro Detroit region. It has definitely been, of course, the origin and also a significant aspect of technological advancements, continuing and refining that aspect of what has given the birthplace of the automotive industry to the entire world and continue to be a leader all the way through over the past century. And that type of identity is really ingrained throughout the people, the community, the neighborhoods, and certainly within Lumecon. It's embedded in the entire fabric of the environment. And so we are absolutely proud to take that type of legacy of pushing advancement and make it something durable and rugged and also cutting edge at the same time. Next.
To know where you're going, you actually have to know where you've been. And so taking a look at this picture, this is from the 1930s Detroit cityscape. And you'll notice that a lot of the buildings are very Gothic looking. They're mostly designed by a gentleman named Albert Kahn. And his fingers are in most of the buildings in downtown Detroit. So in order to highlight these Gothic type, very unique, ornate buildings, the city actually wanted to become the city of lights, if you will. And so you'll find that when normally there's 100 to 200 foot spacing for lighting, they actually had more like 50 to 75 foot between the lights because they really wanted the city to glow and to highlight the buildings and make it feel safe. And so the more the further we get away from that era, the more we kind of want to get back to it, as you will. So what Michael has said and what I've talked about till now, we're trying to bring it all together. And as you can see, we're starting to come up with the ideas of how we're going to design our line and what kind of aspects that it's going to have. As another note to take a look at is the city of Detroit is actually one of the largest landmass cities in the United States. Not by population, but by land mass. It's huge. And so, and if you're a big Steve Perry Journey fan, you'll also notice that a city boy born and raised in South Detroit actually means that he probably grew up in Windsor. That is the only place in the United States that Canada is south of the United States. And if you go up here to the top black line, you'll actually see 8 Mile Road, which is the delineating road between Detroit and where the city ends and Oakland County starts. And obviously that was made famous by Eminem and, or better known as Marshall Mathers, and where he grew up in this northern section of that area. So again, now where does the rubber meet the road, right? You know, taking all of these ideas, taking what we've learned, taking what's embedded in us, and we start to sit down and design a line. So how do we make a Detroit identity? We actually sat down with a local design firm, Sundberg Farrar, and we started to throw back and forth ideas, and they did a great job of helping us define Detroit through time. And if you take a look at the past of Detroit, we were founded as a fur trading colony, making beaver pelt hats that were very, very popular in Europe. And then we moved on to ceramic and tiling, mosaic tiling, and various parts of artistry. And then, of course, as Michael mentioned earlier, we have the backbone of Detroit is obviously automotive. And so that's really what brought many people to the area, and that's who we became, was rough, tough, hardworking individuals that put America on wheels. So combining that with the Joe Louis, strength, looking at other Detroit companies like Square D, Fago, Chris Craft, the home of Motown, we started to piece together the kind of look we wanted in the fixture and the feel that we wanted it to have. So then we took a look at today in Detroit. And obviously one of the things that stands out is a lot of automotive design now has become heavy bone lines, kind of masculine looking, kind of in your face looks on the GMCs and the Fords and the Chryslers. And you combine that with another company, Carhartt, that has its roots here in Detroit for over 100 years, and they're making rugged outdoor wear, along with Shinola, who polishes up the city kind of vibe, if you will, being the first American manufacturer of fine watches to reestablish themselves in the United States. And then also a little bit of ingenuity, and maybe a whole lot of ingenuity. And so you look down here and you see a young lady that designed a jacket that folds out into a sleeping bag. And with that ingenuity comes community pride and community involvement, not forgetting where you came from and contributing back to your roots. And so, for example, she donates one of these jackets to the homeless shelter for everyone she sells. Then we took a look at the future. What is the future going to look like for automotive? What's the future going to look like for lighting? And honestly, what it kind of looks like is what it used to look like, and that is a lot of lighting today that is LED is starting to look like throwback fixtures to the early Edison days. And so there's a lot of retro going on, especially with the automotive companies bringing back the Charger and the Challenger and, you know, the new Camaro that's going to be coming out and the mid-engine Corvette, just a lot of great new types of innovation. So you throw that all together with the past, the present, and the future, and you start to bring together the things that we really liked, and that is bone lines, strength. We like the fact that you see badging to say, you know, on the front of the grill, or whether it's a badge that goes on the fixture that's telling you who you are, being proud to have your name stamped on that fixture as opposed to, you know, not putting it anywhere, hoping no one notices or knows who it is when it comes warranty time. So then you start to see the design starting to come together. And Michael, why don't you go ahead and jump in here?
Yeah, this was actually a great part of the process, working with the local team and designing from the very beginning. We came to them with everything we wanted for a concept, the type of aspects of the Detroit identity that we wanted to bring forth and have prominent. And very closely, we worked with the team through an iterative aspect to refine and keep bringing forth more of those prominent features that we wanted to have on strong display, and eliminating what we deemed unnecessary. It was very collaborative and back and forth through not only the entire sketching process, but then bringing into the final aspect of having construction documents. And you can see here, of course, in great detail, all of the specificities that we had come through the entire fixture. Now we're going to take a deeper dive through some renderings that Bob's going to show you.
So you're starting to see the fixture take shape, and you can see here we're going to talk about that taking a couple different looks at the fixture. You can see that we've used heavy bone lines on the top. We've actually made a very shallow fixture, but we also had a lot of feedback that a lot of people wanted it to be as wide as what current fixtures are today, because if you take one down, you need to put one up and cover up the paint and the box and everything else behind it. So we took all that into consideration with the design, and you see it taking shape. It definitely stands out, and to the point where when you see it, you'll know that it's a Lumecon product. Let's start to pull this apart now. Let's start to look at the guts of it and kind of give you an idea of the quality of the fixture. First off, the casting is done at Great Lakes Die Cast in Muskegon, Michigan. And we're using all new high-grade aluminum when we're doing the casting process. Secondly, what you're seeing here is, let's talk about the light engine for a second. We're using all Nichia and or Osram LEDs, mid-powered LEDs, and you can see that we're using quite a few of them. I believe this is a 96 LED array. So that's going to give us a real high efficacy because we're going to really drive those LEDs very softly. But then in order to meet DLC, the requirements of DLC require the fact that the light that's coming from the fixture, they do not include any of the lumens that go above the 90-degree level. So those are discounted. And then you have to, you have no more than 10% of your total light output between 80 and 90 degrees. And that prevents somebody from putting just a shield on top of the fixture. And so then you've got a majority of your light output is going to be underneath the 80-degree range and very uniformly being spread. So you can see the tilt here in the lens. So that's meant to be refracting and shooting the light down. Then we have louvers that are here too as well to help control the light. And then this is also an LZAC reflector that goes around the entire fixture or the LED array to help control the light as well. So the lens in particular is very well thought out, extremely expensive. These are all individual prisms that were drawn into and then made into the tooling that injection molds into this lens. To give you an idea how precise it is, each one of those prisms in the tool itself has to be hand polished. So it takes one individual about 3 months in order to hand polish every single prism. Luckily, that's only a process we do at the very beginning and then several times throughout the lifespan of the tool. To make sure that this lens stays on, you'll notice that we actually have brass inserts that are inside the screw receptacles. These brass inserts take all the tension off the lens and allows the lens then to be sucked in to the fixture and be held tightly in place, but then not putting any stress onto the actual acrylic. This way you won't have cracks down the road, or you won't crack it initially when you're installing it. And if for some reason, if you had to take it off, you can easily put it back on. And we'll talk about the port and gasket here in a second. So this is highlighting one of the brass inserts that is inside of the reception. So then taking a look at the back of the fixture, you'll notice that you see that it has the mounting plate. We have the 1/2-inch coin plugs on the side, on that side, and also on the rear, so that we can use those for photocells, surface conduit mounting, and the rear one obviously for wall mounting applications. The actual backing here does come apart. It is hinged on the bottom here so that it actually can be installed first. And on that backing, will have the driver, the 40 kV surge suppression, and all the wiring to go with it that actually then just plugs into the back of the front part of the fixture. So you install the back plate onto the wall, and then you hinge on the front, and then you can hands-free, you can plug in the actual LED array, and then you just close the fixture and tighten the screws. So this gives you a full-blown look at the entire fixture. And you'll notice here too that we've actually casted the Lumecon name right into the bottom of the fixture. That will be on every fixture. And again, going back to the design features that we talked about, we wanted to label our fixtures us so that we take pride, we have quality, and that if for some reason it needs servicing, they'll know who to contact. We're not running away from it, type scenario. But we're very proud to stake our name inside of there. The lens, by the way, and you can see that we're reassembling here. And then here's the final product. So color-wise, it comes in a dark bronze with a 60% gloss or black, 60% gloss, same with white and or gray. But we can paint it pretty much in any color you want. Just call us for a quote on something like that. And we've also had the fortunate to be able to also use automotive painting as well, and you can get some pretty funky colors out of that. And this is a good angle showing the Lumecon printed in here. The injection molding of all of our lenses and the tooling was all done in Charlevoix, Michigan. So the casting is in Muskegon, Michigan. The injection molding occurred in Charlevoix, Michigan. The LED boards were made in Troy, Michigan. And then the entire assembly was done right here in Farmington Hills at our headquarters. And I talked about automotive paint. This is Firecracker Red. This is one of the 2019 Jeep colors. And so we do have a category on the cut sheet that states AF, and that's automotive finish, and then you can just tell us what you want. For example, we've done Chevrolet dealerships in the Chevy blue. We've done Bumblebee yellow for some hot rod shops. We've done lime green for some other applications. And so, you can get as creative as you want in that case. So to wrap up on the forward throw, the mounting is cast in template for a wall or junction box mounting. It mounts directly over a 4-inch recessed outlet box using a 1/2-inch surface conduit. Or, again, we die cast the body of it in Muskegon, Michigan. It is aluminum housing. We do use a poured-in gasket, which is done by Rumpf right down the road here in Northville. That gasket is, being that it's hot poured, means that you can infinitely open and close the fixture and it will continue to seal. It's the same process that's used on your doors and your windows inside of your car to keep you warm and dry, no matter how many times you roll the window down or open up and close the door. And then we use a powder coat finish over a chromate conversion coating. Again, we talked about the lens being made in Charlevoix, Michigan. The lens does carry a 20-year warranty against yellowing. So if day one, if the scale of yellowing is from 1 to 100, if day one is 1, in 20 years it'll be no more than a 7. And the biggest reason for that is acrylic tends to break down around 80 degrees Celsius. And of course, that happens mainly when you have an HID bulb behind the acrylic, and that is getting that hot or hotter. And then it actually then breaks down the molecular structure of the acrylic and then turns it brittle and yellow and discolors it. But with our LED array, the manufacturer, Lexolite, has given us a 20-year warranty on the, because they've done the heat testing with our LED array and determined that we'll get nowhere close to that. So they're not afraid to give us that type of a warranty. Michael, do you want to talk about the cut sheet a little bit and efficacies?
Absolutely. Of course, we have all of our details right on the cut sheet, and we're going to dig in and look at the range of different outputs that we have. Our standard 25 watt, of course, is an equal equivalent to 175 watt, which is generally your most typical and common of HID wall packs that are out there. But we also can really ramp it up, and you can see the different type of range that we have of outputs. You know, certainly coming in the range of a 400 watt HID, getting just under 10,000 lumens. With some real strong efficacies, as you can see. Our standard model is at 132 lumens per watt. And also you can see we have a couple different of the ranges as well. Those are the high efficacy or efficiency that we have at the top. And then we also have some standard models below with different types of outputs. So it depends on what your project needs. If we're looking for DLC qualified, we can certainly match that. And we have the different range as well. Now, of course, with these different types of outputs, if you're ever on the front end of a project and want to see what the type of luminous output and the distribution patterns can work with for your specific project, at Lumecon as a service, we always offer photometric analysis that we can do for no cost and no commitment. We'll just be glad to take a look at your area, your facility for the outside, run some photometric layouts and calculations to give you a very clear and distinct picture of exactly what type of illumination spread and foot candle patterns you would have for your area. You can just contact us at sales@lumecon.com or give a call to the front office, and we'll be glad to get that started for you.
Thanks, Michael. I appreciate it. And one last thing I want to mention is that many standard wall packs that you see out on the market today run about 100 lumens per watt. So when somebody says, well, I'm looking for a 55 watt fixture, and at 105 lumens per watt, that's 5,700 lumens. Remember, if you're going to our HE version, then you wouldn't want the 55 watt equivalent. You would actually be able to do 5,700 lumens at 45 watts. So although the HE version is slightly more expensive, you actually will drop their wattage by 10 watts and increase their ROI. And increase the return on the ROI to a point where that it's going to make sense. So additionally, we have designed a small brother to the large full forward throw wall pack. We have a small door lighter, the forward throw mini, that is also extremely effective as well. If you took a look at its performance data, in just 20 watts, you can get just over 2,500 lumens, which again is equivalent to most 25, 30 watt standard off-the-shelf forward throw wall packs. So if you're not worried about the package size, you can actually create the same amount of light, like the same amount of area, using the forward throw mini is that you can, using others, wall packs that are 10 to 15 watts more than this product. So keep that in mind, and it's definitely a lot less expensive to do it that way. So as you can see, the construction is exactly the same, just in a smaller footprint. We haven't shortcutted it at all. There's a lot of value that has been built into the fixture, so it's not your grandfather's door lighter for sure. It's there's been a lot of thought, process, and quality built into the fixture, just as the forward throw was too. I will point out at this time too that even in the forward throw mini, we still have our 40 kV surge suppression unit, and we also have our programmable drivers. In both fixtures, the programmable drivers from Philips. So if for some reason you needed 17 watts instead of 25, we can accommodate and reprogram the driver. The driver could also be reprogrammed in the field if you needed that to happen. So as you can see, we take the same care in construction in the small guy as we did the large. So this is the first two of our Detroit series. We are coming out with a small area light, a large area light, a full cutoff wall pack, and believe it or not, those are probably launching within the next month and a half. And so something to be excited about. All of those fixtures carry our enhanced thermal design, which means that we're running LEDs cooler, which means that our 10-year warranty to L70, we can stand behind that, that we're only using tier 1 componentry throughout the entire fixture, such as Nichia, Samsung LEDs, Philips drivers, Wago connectors, Intermatic photocells, watt stoppers, our occupancy sensing, and then of course every fixture gets a little fuse 40 kV surge suppression unit. Why? Well, there's voltage irregularity out there. That is the #1 downfall of an LED product, is that it needs to have some kind of surge suppression or surge protection. And Lumecon offers the most extreme solution on the market today in a 40 kilovolt surge suppression unit. Because we are so heavily US contented, we meet all the levels of Buy American Act. We also are a small business, less than 500 people, so we qualify as a small business certification. So we check a lot of boxes, especially for a lot of federal projects, and that seems to be where we do a ton of work. So if you have a federal building, VA hospitals, military bases, we definitely are your pick for that. You don't have to worry about any of our products meeting the minimum requirements for sure. Michael, did you have anything to add?
As we had said previously, it's really been a very exciting time for Lumecon to go through and have our entire identity brought forth into a very specific type of product that we are bringing out to the marketplace that is definitely unique and bold. And we are not only excited to launch this aspect with the wall packs, but as Bob has listed up, our area lights that are going to be coming right around the corner. It's definitely a fantastic time to be involved with LED lighting here in Detroit.
On that note, Michael and I would like to thank you very much for your time, and we appreciate you spending about a half hour with us learning about the Detroit series. We're excited to share the new line as it evolves and comes out. So keep checking back at this website to see if there's any new videos, or you might be receiving emails from us about future webinars when we launch the new products. With that being said, we want to let you know that we appreciate your time. Stay safe and healthy out there, and we look forward to seeing you the next time.